to allow an encroachment of eaves by more than 18 inches into the required setback. Property is zoned R6 and located at 4332 7th Street, St. Simons. Parcel ID 04-03201. Jane Frederick, agent for Lizanne Thomas and David Black, owners.
Okay. Maurice Postal, Planning and Zoning Division. This site's located in East Beach, near the intersection of Ocean Road and 7th Street. The property is zoned R6. The minimum lot size is 6,000 square feet, and the property is 9,583 square feet. As stated, the applicant's requesting a variance from Section 302, which allows for eaves to extend into the yard by only 18 inches. The owner would like the eaves to extend 36 inches into the yard. And these are the reasons that the applicant stated in the application. Overhangs greater than 18 inches are more functional for the environment. 36-inch overhangs will protect the building from rain as well as from solar heat gain. Larger overhangs are a more aesthetically pleasing option for this house. The lot is small enough such that the house must be sited on the setback lines in order to afford the owner the space that they require. Larger overhangs keep more of the wall in the shadows, which also visually reduces the impact of the house. And this is the survey of the house. The lot is currently vacant, but there was a residence there previously. And this is the proposed visual of the new house, looking from Ocean Road east towards the house. And the red areas indicate where the 36-inch eaves will be. And your possible motions are to approve the application to allow the encroachment of the eaves into the yard by 36 inches, improve with conditions, deny or move to postpone. And we're recommending denial due to the lack of a hardship stated in the application.
Only question I have is about a tree that's on the property. But I have a question on that too, but
Sure.
there's a tree on that property. Can somebody address what they're going to do with it?
Is the applicant here?
I'm representing.
Okay. Would you like to hear from? Would you like to hear from the applicant's
Yeah,
representative?
go ahead. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I can't. I'm Thad Truitt. I'm a local architect. I'm actually Thomas Truitt, architect from St. Simons Island. I'm president of the Golden Isles chapter of the AIA, and Miss Frederick is the president-elect of AIA National, so she contacted me to help her since the storm. She didn't want to evacuate. I don't have anything to do with this project. I'm just here to represent her, and so I don't know anything about the tree. But I can tell you, in terms of the percentage of overhang, it's 16% of the total. It's a total of 207 square feet into the setback. The total square footage of the overhang is 1,258. So just, that's just, I had asked her for what that difference is, and is the majority of the overhang along 7th Street? On the site plan, it doesn't really quite, which side is 7th Street? The short side.
Yeah,
Okay,
bottom,
so the short side's on 7th Street, which is where you have a 10-foot setback on that side. But I can't spell, is an oak tree? It looked like in the rendering there was one that was.
Well, there's a tree there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause you have
believe me.
a survey.
I went by there. I live right down
Where
the
is
road.
it? It's shown. Can you zoom in any way?
I don't know. I assume it's on this property. You would have to, I would assume, trim that tree because it's going to. Some of the, yeah, it would have to be pruned. I just don't want to cut down. That's all.
Well, yeah.
I hope we don't have to cut it down.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I'm not familiar with the project in any way to that aspect, but I know in my practice and what we do is we try to preserve it. Sometimes that actually helps the tree.
Yeah.
And we root fertilize and aerate the root
Now,
system.
now, my second question is, why 36 inches? Why not 24? Why not 42 if you're interested in the solar heat and all that kind of good stuff?
Well, again, the more overhang that you project in that fashion, you're getting, southerly sun and some westerly sun. So the larger the overhang, the more brow it gives and casts more of a shadow, especially for the upper floor windows, and that reduces heat gain. And it does help push rainwater away from the building.
Yeah. I was just concerned of what the 36 inches, was that a number?
I think those were, again, without being involved in the design process or anything, I know that I do that, but I've never had to come in front of a variance board, but,
I don't know whether we ought to defer this one until we get some information on that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I said, she didn't want to evacuate because she didn't want to have to not be able to get back on if they don't get hit too hard.
Yeah, I offered to her yesterday to defer the application until next month, but she wanted to proceed.
I would, yeah, because I want to get some answers on that tree before we go any further. That tree is too beautiful to be cut down, and I think that the tree canopy people, if they know that tree's coming down, they're going to have a fit, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are regulations now,
Yeah, a
especially.
lot of
for
regs on that
a tree of that caliber, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would recommend deferment, Mr. Chairman. If, can we do that?
Oh,
Is there anybody else here to speak? Okay. Philip, make your motion.
Yeah, I move to postpone the request to a date certain in order to gather more information. And I'd like to have more info about the tree, whether it's going to be cut down, whether it's going to be trimmed. I'd like to have information of why 36 inches is better than, you told me why it's better than 18, why it's better than 42 inches. If you're going to have protection from the solar heat, you would imagine you would want to leave it a little bit longer than that. But that's a question that maybe the builder can answer.
Phil.
Would you like them?
You need to defer to the October.
Yeah, defer. That's where I
Yeah, but to the
postpone it
Oc-
till
You
October.
have to state the October meeting.
I would like to defer to the October 2018 meeting.
Yes?
Point of order. Is it possible to vote on the overhang and create, or would there have to be another application? You just want to do it that way?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, okay.
You want to vote on the overhang?
No.
No, we can't do that.
We have a second. All in favor? All right. Thank you, sir. Our next one, ZV 3788, 630 Magnolia Avenue, St. Simons. Consider a request for a variance from section 700.5 of the Glynn County zoning ordinance to allow for a continuation of an encroachment into the required yard setback adjacent to Fish Fever Lane / 11th Street. For an existing accessory building, the applicant proposes to renovate the existing accessory building that is currently being utilized as a garage storage building into a space for use by guests of the primary residence. The property is zoned village residential and within the Island Preservation Design Overlay District. It is located at 630 Magnolia Avenue, St. Simons Island, Georgia, parcel ID 04-04742. David E. Amos, agent for applicant Wendy and Scott Bird, owners. Stephanie?
Good morning. Stephanie Leaf, Planning Manager. This is ZV 3788 at 630 Magnolia Avenue on St. Simons Island. And this is the site with the star. So Magnolia Avenue actually comes off of this road here, and this is the access to the site. It's kind of a narrow dirt roadway, and then the rear of the site is actually Fish Fever Lane is really how this is kind of configured. So it is located in the Village Preservation District on St. Simon's Island. So they will have to go through the Islands Planning Commission for any exterior changes to the property. They are scheduled to go before the IPC next week on September 18th. And so if there's a decision made today, I will pass that along to the IPC members, and they will be aware of that as they review for design review. The property minimum lot size in Village Residential is 6,000 square feet, and the subject property is 7840.8 square feet. So there is an existing primary dwelling as well as an accessory storage building that are on the property. So as I mentioned, the lot line or the property's Magnolia Avenue is an access, and also Fish Fever Lane, also known as 11th Street, is also, it also abuts that as well. The garage that is the subject of this variance currently goes to the property line adjacent to Fish Fever Lane, as well as encroaches into Fish Fever Lane into the public right-of-way by a few inches. And according to county records, it looks like this building was built in 1975. However, I know the applicant's architect had mentioned they believe that the building was actually built prior to that, but our county records do state 1975 for the construction of that building. And the reason that this project is really before you today, if they were just planning on leaving it as a garage and a storage building, and really just making a few maybe minor interior changes, you wouldn't really be seeing this. We would just kind of accept that as the building is what it is, and will stay there, but they are changing the use. So right now it's a storage building. They are planning to remodel it and turn it into a guest quarters. They will be attaching it via a breezeway to the main building, so it will be considered an addition to the building, but they do want to have guest quarters for their guests to stay in that building. And so the setbacks that are encroaching, as I mentioned, into Fish Fever Lane, but then also there is a side on the northeast side setback that is only 5.8 feet from the side lot line, and the requirement is 7 feet in this zoning district. And the applicants did purchase this property just recently in early 2018, so they were not the owners when this garage was built. So their variance is from section 700.5 to allow the continuation of the encroachment into the rear and side yard setbacks for the accessory building, which will be remodeled into the guest quarters. This is a survey of the property. So this is Magnolia Avenue right here. And so this is the access to the site. And this is the accessory building up here. There's a subject of the variance. And this is Fish Fever Lane up here. The primary dwelling on the site is right here. So this is a picture taken from Fish Fever Lane. So this is the existing primary residence, and this is the garage accessory building. This corner right here is where it extends a few inches into Fish Fever Lane, and then this side over here is where it has the 5.8 foot setback. And this is a view actually from Magnolia Avenue looking at the back side of the garage. And just another view of both the primary dwelling and the garage. And the primary dwelling is newer, and currently it conforms to all setbacks. So this is a site plan that they have proposed for this was not in your packet. This came in after the packets went out for Board of Appeals, but this was given to us for the IPC meeting for next week. So this shows there's some additional remodel to the main residence. This shows a breezeway that will connect this accessory building to the main residence in order to allow the guest quarters here. And they also are adding a pool into the yard as well. And so here are your possible actions. And staff's recommendation is approval of this just with a few conditions that they do go through IPC for design review, which they are scheduled to do on September 18th. That they will add a functional breezeway to attach the primary dwelling to the guest quarters, which they are showing in the current site plan that was in your presentation. And that the Board of Appeals can approve the encroachment into the setbacks, but you do not have the authority to approve encroachments into the right-of-way of Fish Fever Lane. As I mentioned, there is a few inches that do encroach. So there are other county avenues they can go through to request that continuation of the encroachment. but they would have to go through that route to do that. And here are your possible motions. I know the applicants are here if you would like to ask any questions of them, and I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Thank you, Stephanie. I don't have any. Applicant? That be you, Mr. Amos? Please step up and your name, please, sir. Thank you.
David Amos, I'm the architect for Scott and Wendy Bird. Have an office on St. Simons. If I'm not mistaken, the encroachment that you were referring to with going several inches, that is with the roof overhang is actually encroaching. It's not the accessory structure that's encroaching, it's the actual roof that is extending over slightly. We can't find the particular date that the accessory structure that we're planning to renovate was built. It was built in 2 phases, and I believe that the county records from '75 are more for the garage and the accessory side that was built towards Magnolia. The building that was built closest to Fish Fever, which is the non-conforming, we believe was built earlier. It's an elevated structure. The garage is a slab, and the portion to the north of that is also on slab construction, whereas the accessory, the storage area, is on a wood frame. The size and scale of that structure is more in line with some of the older beach cottages that we all are familiar with on St. Simon, which was one of our desires, to keep it and integrate it into the final design for the connecting the houses together. That portion of it will remain only as a storage area. There's no, while we're adding converting a portion of it to a cabana and a guest suite, none of that will be part of the encroaching structure next to Fish Fever Lane.
You said the overhang is what's going into the right-of-way, is that what it is?
Yes.
That's what's causing the problem?
Yep.
So what, are you gonna cut the overhang off? Cut it.
Looking at I guess from what I was understanding, Stephanie said, you guys can approve the encroachment of the structure within the setback line, but you couldn't approve the overhang extending in. And it's tough to see, but at the very top corner, you can see where our wall lines are at. Is there a pointer? Or,
I went by there yesterday, that's a,
okay.
yeah.
Well, at the, well, you can see where the north. Yes. That portion right there. And what we're showing on our plan is the actual roof plan. So the outside lines that we're showing are the roof. Yeah, that's the actual wall line. So the structure itself is encroaching the setback. The roof overhang is the only thing that's encroaching into the road right away. With what we're doing, I don't see that there would be any issue in getting the roof where it was within the property line. Obviously, with where the structure's at, it's still going to be within the setback line. But I think we can very easily take care of the extension over the property line.
Probably be easier to do that than go through right away.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the county has to prove that then, that's why you have to go back to the county.
Yes.
Okay.
But he can bring that back out of that right away, correct?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Now, what happens to there's a fence between the house and that, how do you get from the house to that area?
Oh, but between the two?
Yeah, I went by there yesterday, but I couldn't see a door or anything that got, is there a door there or a gate?
We are building a connector through between the two buildings.
Yeah.
And Yeah.
So when you're facing the partner with the structure,
Well-
to the left, there's a fence right now, it's got like lines on it.
Yeah, when I drove up to that, I guess it was the back of that area,
No problem. My name's Wendy Bird, and I'm the owner of the house, so. I guess, I'm not sure of which fence you're talking about.
well,
The
there's
woman
a
who
the
lived
big
there
fence
before.
down there,
Along
between the white house and that blue storage.
Okay, that fence has actually come down. We've taken that
Are you
down.
gonna take the fence down?
Yes.
Okay,
And that will create that nice breezeway that connects the houses that we were asked to do,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
It's, just so you all know, it's our very strong intention to not only make the house nicer, but us to keep in line with the vernacular of the island. We've spoken to all of our neighbors. They're practically kissing our feet because you can see it's a pretty ugly building right now, so they're thrilled. So they've all offered to come, talk to the board or write letters or whatever to help us with the process. But I think in the end, everyone's gonna be happy, and we wanna make sure we conform to whatever rules that were set back.
so you're gonna make this into a livable area then?
Yeah, and calling it a guest addition is a little, I'm not sure, incorrect or whatever. We have 3 sons, and the house isn't that big, the main house. So it's for our use of when the boys come to visit and families and things like that. So it's not gonna be, used as true guest quarters or whatever.
Would you be able to hook into the sewer system and all?
I don't know that question. Or that answer.
It's currently connected to the sewer.
Oh, is it currently connected? And that storehouse is currently connected?
No, the-
No, that's my question.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to hook into the sewer system?
Right, we'll hook into the sanitary sewer that we've already have existing.
Okay, it's
Tying
gonna hook
into
into that, okay, yeah.
It will
all
not,
right,
would not be a separate
yeah.
connection.
Oh, you're gonna put a restroom out there?
Yes,
And that restroom is gonna have water?
yes,
So that is gonna hook into a current system that you have?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
On the main residence,
Huh?
on the main residence.
Yeah, on the main residence, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I didn't have anything else.
Okay,
Is that it?
I think we've got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Any
Thank you.
public, anybody for or against? Are you just listening? Okay. All right, in that case, will you put motions back up for me, please, Stephanie? And if I can get a motion, if not, I'll pass the gavel and I'll make it.
I can turn, since the conditions are on a separate page, I can turn back to that if I
Probably
those
need to go to that
conditions.
page.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
there you go.
If we approve, do we need to approve for all 3? So the motion would be everything on that page?
That would be your motion. I mean, these were what was in the staff report that was sent to you all. However, number 2, the functional breezeway, I mean, their site plan does include that now, so that is part of our record, so you
We
can
can
take that off.
Take that out.
If you would like. I would like to leave number 1 on there.
Well, number one is yes, but what
Yeah.
about number 3?
And number 3, I mean, from their discussion, it sounds like they are planning to, take some of that overhang off to conform. So you wouldn't need number 3 if that is their plan, and they've stated that on the record.
Okay, so basically, we're the approval plus 1. In other words, all exterior changes to the site shall go through the Islands Planning Commission for island preservation design review.
Great.
Okay, can I get a second? Philip, I need you guys to raise your hand. All right, all in favor? Unanimous. You have it, thank you. No other business, I'm going to adjourn.
Thank you.